بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويدفع نقمه. لك الحمد يا رب كما ينبغي جلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك، ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of here and the hereafter. We praise Him a praise that meets all the blessing that we receive from Him, and to prevent calamities. O Lord, you deserve a praise befitting the vastness of your dominion and the glory of your grace. We greet and salute the Holy Prophet of Islam, the most select individual, and his pure progenies. Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the 17th night or the 17th program of this blessed month of fasting, the month of Ramadan. I humbly pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep all of you safe and protected during these difficult and testing times, inshallah. يقول الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة. رسول من الله يتلو صحفا مطهرة فيها كتب قيمة وما تفرق الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلا من بعد ما جاءتهم البينة وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء ويقيموا الصلاة ويؤتوا الزكاة وذلك الدين القيمة. إن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين في نار جهنم خالدين فيها أولئك هم شر البرية. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أولئك هم خير البرية. The surah جزاؤهم عند ربهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه ذلك لمن خشي ربه. Before I start with the translation and we proceed with the interpretation, I need to make a correction. This was brought to my attention by a dear friend from Colorado, that somehow in the recitation of the verse number 4 of the one that we recited last night, Zilzal, وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا, somehow I have said يَوْمَئِذٍ يُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا. That's not correct. يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا. I'm grateful to to our brother from Colorado, among other places, that they send me the message. And on a positive sign, one could kind of tweak it that at least somebody is paying attention. It may not be here, somewhere else. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Those among the people of the book and the idol worshippers who have denied Islam shall not give up their stubbornness until they receive a clear sign in a form of a messenger from God, reciting purified messages and giving them clear direction. The fact is that people of the book differed after such clear signs had come to them. They had been directed to worship God alone and obey Him exclusively with sincere devotion, and to show diligence in prayer and to pay zakat. And this is the upright faith. The idol worshippers and their co-conspirators from the people of the book will be cast into the fire to dwell forever. They are the worst of the creatures. Those who embraced the faith and did good deed, Allah will be pleased with them, and this will reward them righteously because they feared the Lord. Sadaqallahu al-Aliyyul Azim. We start with a recap of the conversation that we had last night briefly. During that attempt to shed light on the verse, I said that Surah Al-Zalzala is unique because it pays attention, focuses on the concept of the Day of Judgment, which itself is a recurring theme through all these chapters that we have covered. But pays special attention to the extraordinary feature of that day, in which human deeds, positive or negative, are brought to light and illustrated. The fact that nothing will be hidden is a theme that underscores in many verses and chapters. The book of deeds will be placed before human beings to judge for themselves. Iqra kitab. On that day, not even a small iota of good deed or bad deed will be missed, making the guilty individuals reluctant to face the book. And when they ultimately do, they are stunned by the detail of the book, that nothing is missed. And under that circumstance, it is befitting for the wise individual to spend some time preparing themselves for that eventual day that either, as we said last night, means it's going to come without shadow of a doubt. We may not perceive or understand it, but nothing is going to be changed because that's ordained. Before I proceed, I need to make few comments. Number one, that we are gradually moving towards longer chapters, that they are not few verses, they are going to be longer. So ultimately, we may not be able to cover the full chapter in one session. And number two, this chapter in particular, al-Bayyinah, is one of those difficult chapters to really clarify and shed light on it because of the numerous opinions that exist about one word here, one clause there, one statement here, etc., that inshallah I will clarify. I have attempted to navigate between the number of commentaries that exist and to do justice to the text, to the context, and to the wording of the surah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me if I don't do justice to it. It's not intentional, but sometimes it's extremely difficult. Surah al-Bayyinah, if we can go back to the first night where we outlined a socio-political kind of reasoning for why people resisted the prophets as they came and they brought their messages. Number one, I pointed out that according to the verses of the Holy Quran, once corruption takes over, it becomes necessary out of the mercy of Allah for the guidance to come. But what makes some people resist these prophets and the new message? The idea that somebody comes to destabilize business as usual for these people are not going to be accepted, because they consider that an existential threat to their position, wealth, power, status, etc., etc. Hence, they are going to resist. Quran in this verse, in this chapter, Surah al-Bayyinah, points to the alliance between mushrikeen, or idol worshippers of Mecca, and a number of people of the book, which within the context of Arabian Peninsula before Islam, primarily it was the Jewish community. The Christian community lived, as we explained before in Surah Al-Fil, that they lived in the southern part of Arabian Peninsula in what today we call Yemen, particularly around Najran area. And the Jewish community had moved from the north, coming down to the south, and they lived around the fertile land, particularly around Medina. And they had established for themselves fortresses, etc., etc. And they had extreme power. But the verse is trying to say that these people, although when you provide them with the message, they claim that they only will accept the message if God sends them a messenger with a clear proof. But it's nothing more than conceit and arrogance. Yes, outwardly they pay lip service or try to pretend that if someone brought them a strong and open sign about the veracity of the Holy Quran, they're going to accept. But in reality, nothing would change them from that dogma that they are. Pure deception from their part. These people are not going to change their position no matter what signs come to them. Their past clearly indicates that position. That many miracles, great signs were sent to them through their prophet. But these were the same thing that they were asking the Holy Prophet, but they resisted. They not only resisted, they wreaked havoc in their faith and in their religion, so their hearts are hardened and nothing is going to change. This is one of the points of contention between commentators when it comes to the interpretation of the first verse. لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة. They are not going to let go of their old way of life until a clear signs come to them. My understanding of the verse, once we engage and interrogate a number of other verses within the Holy Quran about the Jewish community, their past history, clearly indicates that it's not that the statement is simply going to tell people that yes, if clear signs come to them, yes, they're going to accept. Far from it. What the verse is trying to say, that these are arrogant people with the mushrikeen. They have a vested interest in the continuation of a way of life that existed, and they are not going, not only they are not going to change, they are not going to allow anybody else to change. The debate starts again whether this surah is Makki and Madani. This time, there is huge commentators have moved towards the surah being Madani rather than Makki. And they cite a number of kind of proof or reasoning for it. Number one, Ahlul Kitab that actually came to engage the Holy Prophet. It wasn't during Mecca, because Christian community used to come and use the caravan, the trade route and go to the south or to the north. But we don't have clear historical proof, without shadow of a doubt, that large contingent of Christian community came to Mecca and debated the Holy Prophet regarding their faith. It might have been individuals, but systematically coming to the Holy Prophet and asking to debate. It did not happen in Mecca. It happened in Medina. And we, inshallah, other nights we get to a number of verses clearly supporting this idea. And if we look at the people of the book that did that, it's the Jewish community. And the Jewish community were not, they might have traveled to Mecca and around, but they settled around Medina. So that was the place that they came forward. This is a clear indication that it is a Madani. Others naturally say that no, this might have been a Makki surah. I refer to the possibility that Christian community might have come and passed through Mecca and debated the issue. Those who say it is Madani, they cite another proof. Granted that zakat was revealed or established during Mecca, but its implementation actually was in Medina. And when the verse says zakat and salat, obligation of salat came in Medina, not in Mecca. But we leave that to the scholars and the commentators. Each one has its own opinion. The surah takes its name from the mention of the al-Bayyinah, clear proof in the first verse. Some people have called the surah Lam Yakun. Other people have called it Qiyamah, named it Qiyamah, but various opinions exist. Now, we go back to this debate again, that some commentators differed, and my position after reading a number of commentaries tend to agree with one side. These people say that Surah is trying to state that the people of the book will accept, and mushrikeen, will accept truth when the proof comes to them. A clear proof comes to them. But if we look at the structure of the verse in the Holy Quran, and we bring in, as I said, interrogate other verses in the Holy Quran, Surah al-Baqarah, Al-Imran, and others that explain clearly about the background of the Jewish community, it proves the opposite. That there is a self-conceit and arrogance. They have established their path and nothing is going to change them. And the presence of the Holy Prophet in Medina destabilized the plan. Why? Because they were hoping that Quraysh would deal with this imposter, as they used to call him, the false prophet. But once the Quraysh failed to either assassinate or put an end to the message, and the Holy Prophet migrated to Medina and stayed the course, now the balance of power is going to shift. In the same way that Abu Sufyan, Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, and other leaders of the Quraysh that benefited from the status quo and would see the presence of Muhammad and this new religion as an existential threat to them, now the Jewish community found the presence of Muhammad in Medina exactly in the same position. This is why now they began the debate and they came to the Holy Prophet discussing that prove this, prove that, and they were asking for proof. So the Holy Quran says that even if the proof strikes them in the face, as we have seen in other verses in from the Holy Quran, they are not going to change their position and accept the truth. لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين لم يكن, they will never, or it's in the future, and they are not going to. These two among the Quraysh and Mushrikeen and the people of the book, although they claim that if somebody were to provide them with clear proof, they are going to change, but they will never. Because the same thing that they are asking prophets, truth, guidance, books, clear proof was sent to them by their own prophet, but they never accepted it. So the Quran is trying to literally deconstruct and challenge the views and attribute and state that what is happening in Medina as far as these challenges, they are not there to clarify. They are there simply to state their position and stick to the point. Some of these verses that I just picked up from the Holy Quran clearly supports this argument. يَسْأَلُكَ أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ. The people of the book are asking you, أَن تُنَزِّلَ عَلَيْهِمْ كِتَابًا, that you ask your Lord to bring forth a book, مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. Don't be disheartened. فَقَدْ سَأَلُوا مُوسَى أَكْبَرَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. Indeed, they asked Musa a much greater or grander, or made a greater or grander demand. What was it? فَقَالُوا أَرَنَا اللَّهَ جَهْرَةً. They asked Musa a bigger, show us God manifestly present in front of our eyes. If the proofs had already come to them, but in the books and the prophethood of Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and Harun, they still insisted for something bigger. Why? Because they didn't want to change their position. Another verse in the Holy Quran, Al-Muddathir, verse 52, بَلْ يُرِيدُ كُلُّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ أَنْ يُؤْتَى صُحُفًا مُنَشَّرَةً. Every single one of them wants to be treated uniquely, and a revelation comes to him or her with an open book, and open pages, and a book for themselves. Clearly, these verses indicate that they are not in a position to accept truth. And the responsibility falls on the shoulder of the Holy Prophet. Yes, now you have to move forward and show it to them. No, these people are not going to change. In another word, these people are not willing to believe in the Holy Quran. Why? Because prophets, as Baqarah 61 talks about, prophets and scriptures were sent to them and they killed the messengers. The story, ذَلِكَ بَأَنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يَكْفُرُونَ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ وَيَقْتُلُونَ النَّبِيِّينَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ. Whenever prophets and messengers came to them, if they didn't like the message, they killed the messenger. Those of you who are familiar with the story of Bani Israel in Quran, when Prophet Musa ﷺ goes to the Mount Sinai to receive the tablets, what happens? During his absence, Samiri, they organizes a calf, and the entire Bani Israel, they turned into worshipping the calf. When he comes down, he criticizes Harun, his brother, for not stopping them. And what was his response? Yabna or the son of my mother or my brother, don't be over zealous in criticizing me, because they threatened to kill me. I did my job. This is a pathological habit that they have, that whenever a prophet comes, if they don't like the prophet, they kill him. If they don't like the message, they kill the messenger. الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَهَدَ إِلَيْنَا أَن لَّا نُؤْمِنَ لِرَسُولٍ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَنَا بِقُرْبَانٍ تَأْكُلُهُ النَّارُ. These are a group of people that said, Allah, through some kind of covenant, has agreed with us or commanded us not to accept any message until what happens? Until an offering is to be consumed by open fire. And then what does the verse say? قُلْ قَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رُسُلٌ مِّن قَبْلِي بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَبِالَّذِي قُلْتُمْ فَلِمَ قَتَلْتُمُوهُمْ. If you are truthful, and it's not deceit and arrogance, if you are truthful in your claim, God already sent you before messengers. And the same sign that you were asking for, which is some kind of offering to be consumed by fire, it was done. But you didn't accept it. You went ahead and you killed the messengers. فَلِمَ قَتَلْتُمُوهُمْ. Why did you kill? If you were truthful, sincere, searching for some kind of a path for truth, why did you kill the messengers before? Although they did the same thing. Then we go to the next verse. Rasulun. This is what they are asking. Rasulun min Allah yatlu suhufan mutahhara. That a messenger come, or it could be an angel directly descend from heaven to read them purified pages in which explicit and definitive directives are given. So what they are looking for, some kind of a book that comes from heaven. Archangel Jibreel brings it down to the rabbis of Medina and explicitly says, this is Prophet Muhammad and you have to follow this prophet. You see how one cannot explain it. This is why we have within our culture Israeliyat, which means Bani Israel, the way they played again and again and again and again not to accept the truth. So they want somebody, a book that doesn't have any tales, any stories, clear and ambiguous words that commands them that this is the Prophet, go and follow Prophet Muhammad. Qayyima, clear, straightforward, to the point. وَمَا تَفَرَّقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْهُمُ الْبَيِّنَةِ. All this division is after so many proofs came to them. Let us look at the story of Bani Israel and see how many times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them proof and then they went back. Number one, Torah, tablets. Allah sends it in a form of tablets for them. The cousins, descendant of the same person from Prophet Yaqub, various sons, became 12 tribes. They are not prepared to eat from the same spring. They asked Musa to give them 12 different springs. Commands come to Prophet Musa, strike your asa on the stone, and 12 springs now become available, one for each of them. This is another sign. Crossing the Nile, the biggest miracle that could happen to a community. You were chased by pharaohs and almost caught and annihilated. Allah commands Musa to touch the staff to the Nile, and the water splits open for you to cross. As soon as they cross, they see a group of people, idol worshippers, that they worship idol. What do they ask the Prophet Musa? اجعل لنا إلها كما لهم آلهة. Create a God for us in the same manner that these people have gods. Before the Exodus, they went through the blood test, the fada, which was the frogs, the plagues, everything, and yet when they crossed the Nile, they went back to the same old story. وَمَا أُمِرُوا, these books were sent to them. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ حُنَفَاءَ. Directed to worship God alone, obeying Him exclusively, and be diligent in prayer, and pay the poor tax and poor due. Presented these are as an examples for this. It's not an exhaustive, but there are so many examples. But they never adhere to any of these commands and fundamental tenets of the faith. In Surah al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains how totally this Bani Israel totally disregarded the religion and the command given to them. Although the religion, according to its basis, it was an upright Hanif based on monotheistic understanding of the divine. It was a Hanif, an upright religion. We have verses on behalf of the Holy Prophet. قل إنني هداني ربي إلى صراط مستقيم دينا قيما ملة إبراهيم حنيفا. I follow the Hanif, the monotheistic understanding of the faith that Prophet Ibrahim brought. So Allah commanded them to follow the deen of Hanif, which was Musa, and Musa is almost the same as Prophet Ibrahim, but they rejected. And there is another verse in the Holy Quran, فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا ذَلِكَ الدِّينُ الْقَيِّمُ. Any monotheistic religion that asks people to worship God alone, obey Him exclusively, and be diligent in prayer and pay the zakat and people's due for the poor and the needy, that is the deen of Qayyim, the most obvious, clear proof that anybody can ask for. إن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين في نار جهنم. Why? This verse by itself is a clear evidence that our assessment and understanding of the verse is correct. It's because of their conceit, because of their deceitfulness, because of their arrogance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, because they resisted the clear proof that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that they are going to be permanently, a permanent abode in the burning fire. أولئك هم شر البرية. Indeed, they are the worst of the creation. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أولئك هم خير البرية. We go back to a compare and contrast. Human beings can be both the best of creation as long as they submit to the command of Allah and guided by the divine, and testify to this unique, and verses in the Holy Quran testify to this unique position. On the other hand, humans are, although they are favored, but could sink and drop to asfal al-safilin. Yes, لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, but at the same time, there is a possibility that once humans, Bani Adam, drop and severs their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Sayyid Qutb in his Tafsir في ظلال al-Quran says, once human beings sever their relationship with Allah and become arrogant by worshipping idol, a negative transformation with what he calls maskh, a change, the reality ruin. And no wonder Quran here says, إن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين في نار جهنم. That كرمنا بني آدم, the original position, highly elevated, once you sever and you don't rise up to the occasion and submit to the command of Allah, then you deserve the lowest of the low. A number of scholars have opined that this is the humans have illustrious station and position before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted them to become the vicegerent. This position of vicegerency is a unique position and spiritual stations that we humans have to rise and become one. We are not given them. We start with potentiality. We have to struggle. Month of Ramadan is part of that struggle. جزاؤهم عند ربهم. Those who submit, they are rewarded. Heaven, and then descriptive, eternal bliss with rivers that flowed, whatever it is that we have in various verses. So only through submission to command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that humans can secure a position that they really deserve. Short of that is asfal al-safilin, or some other verses that say that humans drop to a level lower than the beast, the wild beast. May Allah protect us from such drop and grant us the privilege and help us in our jihad and struggle during this month. Indeed, it's a huge struggle to be able to tame the ego and remove one from the shackle of this material life. We have only few nights left before we get to the first night of power. Let's work as hard as possible. Let us join together and pray for the safety, protection, and the well-being of those who have struggled hard enough and to protect the rest of the community. May Allah bless them and bless all of us. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.